Welcome to episode 15 of Hybrid Fitness Report. My name is Paul Reynolds.
My name is Jude Reynolds.
And today we are looking at a slew of races that have been going on in the last few weeks. Hyrox being in Dallas and Bordeaux and Stuttgart and where else,
Dublin.
Jude? Dublin.
And Chicago.
So a whole bunch of Hyrox races have been going on, and also a couple of first-person event reviews from Jude, looking at the race previously known as Survive the Eight, now known as the Urban Race by Athena, as well as yesterday's hybrid games at London Olympia. We also have our usual League of Hybrid Fitness Sports, which this week is going to be MMA, which might have some controversial perspectives on endurance and such like. But we're looking forward to getting into that. First of all then, Jude, what's been happening in the world of Hyrox racing?
A lot. It was a huge couple of weeks for Hyrox. Of course, the week that we took a sort of week out from doing that with Yancey. Shout out to Yancey. Great interview if you want to go back and watch that one. So to just go through a little bit of the highlights, if I start with Dallas, the most recent one, we had Jake Williamson, the sort of arguably one of the best doubles athletes in the world. Looking at his times, he has more times, I think, in the top 20 than anyone else in the world. So we had him and Hunter McIntyre teaming up, who got a 48-48 to be exact, with Jake Williamson saying he was not near his top form. So they're apparently going to run it back and looking for the world record on that one. So we'll see, but they won that event 48-48 with second place was Stephen Pelkifer and Dylan Scott with a 50-01. And the 50-01 was because apparently the MC was shouting out how many reps were left. And you know how sometimes it gets confusing when you're on 99 or you're on 98 and then the judge or the MC is like one more or two more. And then you do 1, 2, and you think it's done. But in reality, they do mean one more. Basically, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. You've been in that position. But they thought they'd basically finished when they'd done 99. And so they threw the last ball, ran, had to come back, throw it again, and that cost them the sub 50, which I bet kills
definitely
them.
Confusing.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So they're sub 50. They're sub 50.
They're sub 50. And in my head, what I do to combat that is hit the target one more time or hit the target 2 more times. So if I hear someone say 1 or 2, or like usually they'll like my judge will say 90 because your judge should always count in even 10s or 20s. And if you've just hit your 90, from there I'll count hit the board 10 more times. So I'll go 1 hit, 2 hit. That helps me.
Right.
But then finally rounding out the top 3 there were Ryan Douglas and Jack Driscoll. Jack Driscoll's name comes up quite a lot with these American races because he's just gone, I think, 3 for 3 with solo pro PRs. And he's now sort of a big name across America. America just sort of had this surge this beginning of the season of really, really top athletes, where before Hyrox was sort of dominated by Europeans. So it's really cool to see America controversially.
No disrespect to the bulk pony, but apart from him and Dylan in recent years,
apart from the 3-time world champion and Dylan Scott, who everyone knows. Ryan Douglas was who came just this recent World Championships third in the 24 and under age group at Worlds. So seeing him with Jack Driscoll teaming up for a 50-minute and 12-second third place overall is not too surprising. He's a really, really impressive athlete. So that was Dallas with the men's pro doubles. And then with the singles, like I said, you got Jack Driscoll, who won that at 56-21. Ryan Kent, who's looking back on good form again with 57-22. So to beat an on-form Ryan Kent by a minute, Jack Driscoll, that's pretty impressive. Then you've had a Canadian, Frederick Dubé, with 57-37. This is the first time I've seen his name this season, but I believe I saw his name scattered across last season. So Frederick Dubé has been in and amongst that sub-elite category for a little while now. But this season, I think this is his first breakthrough race of this season. And then the only other notable time, so far as I saw, sorry if I've missed something here, but it was the women's pro doubles with Kat Fassbender and Morgan Scholes coming in at just under 56 minutes with 55-56. So in terms of women pro doubles time, that's really, really up there. So well done for them. Cool. Moving on, we've got Bordeaux men's pro doubles with Kieran and Tony. Kieran being someone that I've raced with previously in Birmingham. These two are the sort of their own typical doubles partners who are in the Elite 15. They won Bordeaux with a 51:53. So not one of their PBs together. Not a super quick time
Do you
for
think
them,
Kieran,
but
do you think Kieran suffered having to have Tony as a partner rather than you this time?
Nah, I think I respect Tony too much as a doubles athlete to say that. Yeah, I think they're a very quick pair, but in terms of their own times, this wasn't up there for them, but it was enough to win on the day. So still an impressive time regardless. I think the most impressive time on the weekend is Geoffrey Vosson with a 58:55. The reason I say it's the most impressive is because I believe he's 42, a previous Elite 15 athlete. To pull a sub 59 out being over 40 years old is somewhat insane. So well done to him. Dublin, I think, was the biggest Hyrox of the sort of double weekend that we missed. I could read out the top 20 pro men in Dublin and them all be impressive. We had Martin Eindhoven. So shout out to the Dutchman winning it in just under 55. Then we had Alan Ploy, 55:19. Sean Noble, who's been super consistent at the start of the season, 55:50. And then you got Graham Halliday. Really cool to see him surfacing with a great time again this season, 56:06. Ronan Lindsay, who I actually haven't heard of before, so that's super impressive for someone that I haven't heard of to be getting a 56:39. And then Mark Dean rounding it out at 56:44.
Speaking of Mark Dean.
Oh, yes. Well, that could be a smooth transition to the hybrid games.
If only we said that later, but yes, that name will resurface in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then in the doubles, we had a cool father-son combo, which was rumored to be / definitely is the quickest father-son time that we've seen. A pro doubles of 53:22.
I was quite upset about that. I was quite upset about that. I thought you and I were lined up for a definite father-son world record, and then I thought that's probably half an hour quicker than you could pull me around doing doubles.
We'll get the coolest sub 80, I think.
The coolest sub 80 with the biggest age gap. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You know, that father-son, that dad is seriously young for a dad of an athlete. Yeah.
But Tom Hogan's been in the hybrid fitness racing for
he's cheating.
Ages.
He's an elite athlete already, whereas, you know, rumor has it I'm not. So, you know.
Yeah, me and Fatboy Slim. We'll do it sub 80. We'll do it. We will.
Yes, we will.
Second place of the day was Tony and Jeremy McConnell, both of whom Elite 15 doubles athletes, either currently or in the past. Only second place due to a 2-minute penalty for a controversial spitting episode on Tony's end. So, we'll see. Anyway, that wasn't super agreed upon.
That was
anyway.
blowing. If you watch this on YouTube, that's me blowing, not sniffing. By the way, that's
he's not looking at the video. Snorting anything.
No,
don't drug test him though. But third place, Ben Sutherland and Bradley Wilkie. Shout out to Bradley. I met him on like my first ever Hyrox outing, so that's super cool to see him coming in third with Ben Sutherland, who I've been messaging a lot recently. His mixed doubles and pro doubles times are insane. He'll definitely, I think, qualify for the Elite 15 again this season in doubles. He's just got that type of engine that just, if you give him a little bit of rest, he's good as new. Super impressive times on the women's side as well. Melanie Maurer, 1 hour flat 38. Kat Parnell, 1 hour flat 54. Doubles women, Zara Piergiani, ex-Elite 15 athlete with Gabrielle Moriarty, 56:01. Kat Parnell again with Jade Skillen, 56:29. And that sort of rounds out Dublin. We have Chicago to go, which I think I'll just highlight two things with Lauren Weeks winning at 58:12. And Cole Learn winning at 54:36. Anyone pulling 58 low is in contention on the podium at Worlds. So with women, if you're getting 58 low, there are only probably a handful, if that, of women right now that could run a 58 low. So with Megan returning, getting 58 low, Lauren racing again, getting another 58 low, is showing her consistency. And obviously you got Joanna Wettrick, who's, you know, probably got the capacity to do that again next time she races. So I think there are a handful of women that can do that. So just Lauren basically affirming that she's in for contention on the podium again this year.
Before we talk about the two event reviews, which we've got as the main pieces for today's pod, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, WoDLETE, UK-based sports apparel company. WoDLETE's designs come from a love of functional fitness, helping you to build strength, mobility, stability, and endurance while staying comfortable in what you wear. So from performance-based layers to changing robes, from gym shorts to hoodies, and training socks to track jackets, WoDLETE have got you covered. Head to wodlete.co.uk, that's WoDLETE hyrox.co.uk for their autumn-winter range with free delivery on all UK orders over £50 and worldwide shipping available. Use code HFRPOD20, that's HFRPOD20 at checkout for 20% off your order. So, Jude, you've been heading into your pre-Christmas heavy racing season, haven't you? You've got kind of 4 big races lined up, and 2 of them in the last 2 weeks. The first one last weekend is the Urban Race by Athena, which was previously known to folks as Survive the 8. That was down in Peckham. And then just yesterday, you were at London Olympia for the hybrid games. So tell us a bit about your race specifically, but also the events at those 2 venues and those 2 slightly different sports.
So, start off, the simplest way to describe by Athena the urban race would be if you were to take a Hyrox for the open men division or pro women division, cut every distance in half, and keep the stations in order. So it's essentially a half Hyrox, and they label themselves as such when they talk about it. That's how they describe it,
because to be anything different.
No. They have literally kept all the Hyrox stations in order and just used the open weights of each division. That's how they're pushing it. I think for them, when I spoke to a couple of guys that came up with it and run it, their intention was to get people ready for events like a Hyrox. So I think they're trying to make obviously a name for themselves in their own right. But in terms of why you would do one or who they're trying to attract initially, I think it's those people who are like, I don't know if I could do a Hyrox. And I think I agree with them. If you don't know you can do it in a Hyrox, do one of these. I think if you can get through, pace yourself, do a half sim, you would call it, of a Hyrox while being, in a competitive environment. By Athena, the urban race would be a great start for you. I think, if you have an idea what runs you're going to hold in the Hyrox, like on the stations, what paces you're going to do, try it at this race or even go a little bit quicker. And, if you can hold it for half the distances, you can do a Hyrox, and if you don't feel too bad afterwards. So the venue itself was a lot different to any I've been to before. It was in a warehouse with half of the stations inside, half of the stations outside. And it was obviously 500-meter runs, being half the distance of Hyrox, with 5 laps.
Sorry, and just to say about the warehouse, if you talk hybrid fitness racing and say warehouse, people are thinking of kind of a rundown version of Olympia or something. But this Olympia is actually a lot smaller, right? Because the waves were like single digits numbers of people per wave, right?
Yeah, so my wave, for example, the elite wave that first went off was 8 people, and every wave behind us was, I think, 8 people as well. I think there were 50 people in the male solo division in total. So I think it was about, I don't want to discredit them, I think there was about 400 people for the whole event, but my category had 50. So it wasn't a huge venue. They're just getting started. They're just sort of pushing their name out there. So it was great to see even that amount of people turn up to it, especially for them to be able to fit what they could in that small venue. But yeah, as I was saying, 500 meters per run, 5 laps per run, 100 meters per lap. That was the most interesting thing, was navigating how to pace and run and turn with each lap only being 100 meters. So it was less of a running race, more of a how hard can you push yourself for how long. I think more about pacing than anything else, because you couldn't really pick up any top speed, having to do about 20 turns per run. But I mean, that's how they got everything fit in. So it's not something, you're all doing the same run, so it doesn't really matter.
Which makes it more of an affordable event. Presumably it's a lot cheaper than a Hyrox, right?
Yeah, I think it was 50 quid, so almost a third of the price, 40 quid. Yeah, something like that. So it wasn't too expensive if you're, looking at almost anything else nowadays. But the stations were all, laid out. The spacing, there wasn't much of it, but because of the small heats, you didn't need much of it. The sleds moved perfectly fine. I didn't notice any sort of crinkles or I don't have any complaints about the sleds. It was open weight though, and so if you're used to doing pro weight, it is a bit of a shock, especially on the sled pull. Because I'm a heavier athlete, when I lean back, I'm expecting, with the pro weights for them to be a bit of resistance and to step back. When I lean back on the open weights, I sort of fell back. So, that's where I always notice the open weights is the sleds on the pull.
Shut up! You leant back and you fell back. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. But that's not even like my strength. That's just me being too massy.
Just massed.
Yeah. So the sled pull was kind of, the problem is with that is if you obviously fall back or step back too far, you're out the box. So it was then sort of changing my technique on the fly, which I'll speak again about in the hybrid games as well, because there was a situation with that as well there. But yeah, the sleds were fine. The layout was, you needed to have studied it before because of their space. They had to make certain stations in certain places around the running loop. So you did need to know what order and where to go beforehand. If you just sort of went in and hoped to know, you were going to get it wrong.
They weren't laid out in order so you to go from one to the next to the next. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I spoke with the organizers about afterwards about their next venue. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that yet, so I won't. But their next venue is going to be a lot, I think, in terms of like, if you have race brain and if you're not sure where to go, it'll be a lot simpler laid out in their next venue. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Hopefully, we'll be talking to them on here, so they can take us through that. Hopefully, that will happen in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I won't say where they're going next, but it'll be a lot better in terms of layout for that next event. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think really well run event for their first one of this kind. I think if you're looking to get into Hyrox or into just hybrid racing in general, I think this is a great starting point. But they're also looking at outreach to elite athletes as well.
Just in that context, Jude, would you, as an elite athlete training for major races, i.e., you don't have a training block for Survive for the Urban Race by Athena, but would you use this as a kind of Hyrox sim / Hyrox workout a week or hybrid racing workout week? Would this take the place of that in a training cycle?
For me, if you're talking about like how elites would train, no, I wouldn't. I'd use it. I'd do it, when they have an event, if it's like once a year for sort of race experience. Like if you're wanting to get more used to having to think on the fly of, like, even in elite races, it's important to know when your, heart rate's in zone 5, when your heart rate's super high, can you direct yourself around a course? It's also great work for top end speed. So like when they're on the next venue, when their layout's a lot more spread out and they have a lot more space, you can hit your top speeds. And so with an event that's so short and intense, instead of your, say, WOD that day, your workout of the day, instead of your like Hyrox specific workout, you could do this. That would be where it would be sort of more involved.
So that's what I mean. So it would replace a Hyrox workout in a week. Rather than
Sorry.
I mean, as distinct from replacing like strength workout or a running workout or a rest day.
So for like, I'd say if you're getting into it and you're just starting up your training, I think you could build to something like this. But on the same side, on the other side of the coin, you have the elites. You could use this as one of your workouts of the day. So for example, when I did that, I trained in the morning. I think it was 90 minutes to 2 hours of zone 2 work on the ergs. Then I was still able to perform at that race. So it can just be, part of your training for that day for the elites, or a competition to build up for the novices.
So just to be clear on that, for an elite racer, this would be one of your workouts that day. It wouldn't even be the workout that day. It'd be one of them.
No, but then again, you see people like Jake Dearden. Like, he posted on his story the other day something absurd. He did a 5K warm up. He then ran a park run 5K in 16 low. He then did 2 more 5Ks with 3 minutes rest in between, a 16 low. And then did some 1K repeats at 3:12 per kilometer. I mean, it all depends on what your body's adapted to and how you've trained it over the years to cope with.
#relatable. Not.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's for everyone. Like, that's the great thing about hybrid racing. That's why I love it. I'll be racing against people that it's their first time or that have done twice as many races as me. You never know.
You've never raced me. That'll bring you down to earth.
That'll be fun. We should live stream that. So we were just talking offline about doing like a Deca sim when I fly over back home to Cayman tomorrow, or 2 days.
Day after tomorrow,
And there's a Great White Fitness in Cayman that we often train at. If we can get a sim done then, if I can get 1,000 followers by then, jr.hybridfitness, if you can follow me, please, so we can live stream.
Hang on. Follow us.
What?
And then follow you.
Then follow me, then we can get a live stream going of me doing a double decker versus you doing a single one, and we'll put bets on it.
Yes, we'll put massive bets on you trying to beat me doing a double decker versus me. Wow. That's even got a ring to it. I love it.
Double decker.
You're doing a double decker,
Oh,
and I'm doing a
nice.
single decker. Yeah,
The
this is
bus and the
fantastic.
chocolate bar.
There we go. So double decker versus single decker. Who's winning? Obviously,
Yeah.
with Jude being the double decker in this scenario, Or if that doesn't work out too well for me, you'll just have to do a decker ultra, which I think is 5 deckers, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds horrendous.
Yeah.
So
I definitely want to do that one day.
Well, the Decker Manchester sold out of Decker Ultras before it sold out of anything else. I'm like, who are these people? I mean,
Dave Parkin being one of them.
Has
who
he signed
turned
up
me
for the
down
Ultra?
on Teams to do it. We were going to do Teams,
No.
but I asked him about it too late, and he'd already decided on doing Ultra pretty much. Yeah. So shout out Dave Parkin. We got to get Teams in one day.
What are you doing?
We got to get one day.
You do have to. Okay, maybe at a different Decker event someday, huh? Okay, so that's generally about the urban race. How did you get on?
Did well. Won the event on the day, which was cool.
By how far?
5 minutes, I think.
There we go.
But I mean, yeah, it wasn't like the atmosphere that they were going for there wasn't that at all. Like I was there cheering my friend on afterwards. It was very chill. Like I was there cheering my friend on afterwards, asking him how he was placed in his wave, because when I changed, talked to some people, come back to start watching him, I didn't know where he was in his wave, and I was like going to help him on. And as soon as I'd like asked him the question in earshot of a judge, they said immediately it's about taking part. So I was like, oh, okay. Not that type of environment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't something that people funneled their elite athletes into, but that's completely fine. That's not what
they were.
What was
your
tone,
tone, man?
Encouraging.
was that what you were doing?
I don't know. Apparently, but yeah. So I think it's a really
being chastised by a judge when you're not even racing. That's a new low for you.
I know.
Jude. Come on, man.
I know. Yeah, it was a very calm and not Hyroxing environment, so not very intimidating. Definitely give it a try if you're starting.
Which goes into what you were saying initially, that it's helping people. It's an on ramp for longer races as well as an end in itself. It's not trying to pretending to be this hyper intense established thing. It's like, hey, everyone, get in here and do this. Anyone can come and do it. Come off the street and do it. Whereas a full Hyrox, you don't want to be walking in off the street having not worked out to do a full Hyrox. It's just going to be too much. Yeah. Which again is part of what Yancey was saying was his differentiator with Decker from Hyrox. His Decker is turn up, do it, set yourself a stake in the ground as to what's to improve on. Whereas Hyrox is don't do that. You definitely need to train before you put a stake in the ground in your original time. And this could be that stake in the ground. Try the urban race first. Then see if you want to train for something longer, right? So you won a race that no one was wanting to acknowledge placing for.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yesterday was rather more hyped up than that at London Olympia for the hybrid games, which is your So it's your second hybrid games. You debuted in Glasgow 2 months ago and did a 53-53.
Yeah,
and then they changed the definition of the sport. So what happened? What changed?
So they'd announced it long before London or Glasgow, but they hadn't implemented it until just now this past weekend. So they added a sled pull, and obviously with that another run as well. So the layout for hybrid games is 600-meter runs with a station in between, and you've got 10. So 10 runs, 10 stations, ending with a 200-meter sprint. Right. So the stations they have 8 of the 10 are the same as Hyrox. They've also added in an assault bike, which is in station 1 for 50 calories, and dumbbell snatches for 50 reps, 25 each side.
What weight?
20 kg for men, 10 for women.
Right.
Yeah. So in terms of hybrid games, first of all, the venue, London Olympia, incredible. I just think so there was London Olympia where they did Hyrox, but for hybrid games they cut it in half so that you had only one side of the venue, then other one obviously cut off because I was talking to Ross Walker there, who's part of the team, and the money that you have to spend to rent out London Olympia is insane. So no wonder that they sort of locked off one other side of the hall. But venue incredible. The layout and everything, like I went with my girlfriend and with my friend. They were both commenting on how aesthetically pleasing it was. Like the layout was effective and spacious and easy to read, which is ironic because of the penalty I got, which we'll get into. But the layout was really, really cool. The atmosphere was really, really cool. It wasn't as busy as a Hyrox, but it just overall venue really. I think they smashed it. They did really well. Media as well. I think before I go into the race about the media, I had so much response after that weekend on the videographers and just a bunch of media people sending me content of myself, edits that they've made in their own time, or edits they've made of me like they didn't like have to. I had a bunch of people reaching out to me about like, here, I want you to have this footage. I took this of you, this and that. I think the whole team is just really, really cool that works for Hybrid Games in terms of their media stuff. So as well with the media, they're judges as well, which I know they've had controversy about in the past, but I think for this event, I had no issues with it. I think the judge that I had, so basically we were set off in elite. I was in the elite wave, which had no one running an hour before us and no one running an hour after us. So our track almost was completely clear the whole way, which was awesome. First of all, which meant each of us in our elite wave had our own judge. The judge that I had was just awesome.
So your judge was with you on all the stations rather than.
Yeah, I didn't notice it
so
at the
he
time
followed you
because
around,
I was just
right?
Yeah, but Ian and Ant, who are with me, were telling me like after the race how each of you had your own personal judge, which I didn't realize at the time. So that's really cool.
Really good. Yeah.
And he was just super helpful. I think doing what every judge should do. Shout out Dave. It was where I noticed it most was on the wall balls and burpees. Wall balls, super encouraging. I only got one no rep the whole time, first of all, but that's not because he was lenient. That's just because they were good reps. But it was because when he was telling me, "Oh, you're close to not parallel," the next rep I would get lower, and then he would give me immediate feedback, being yes, better. And then again, one rep that was like on the edge, he'd be like, "Oh, not quite there." One more chant, and then I'd go the next rep a little bit lower, and you go, there we go. And it's just immediate feedback like that.
That is good. That is good.
Yeah, on the burpees as well, a couple times where he didn't believe my feet were parallel. Okay, he'd be like, watch the parallel take off on your feet. Jumped, redid it, made sure they're parallel. Jumped again. Yes, better every time, and then there was encouragement as well on top of that. It's just, with elite racing, that's how I think you should be. You should be looking to not give the athlete a penalty. If you tell them what's wrong, they then repeat the error. That's when you give them a penalty. You can't just let them go off, their heart rate being at 185, and then expect them to do every rep to the millimeter exactly what it is. Tell them what's wrong, give them immediate feedback. If that feedback isn't received, then you penalize them, for example. And that's what he did. So I think great judging on their end in terms, from my perspective anyway. So with the venue, the judging, media, I think that was all great. And the race itself was really good. And it's the closest thing that I've ever done to a Hyrox, given that the time domain is almost exactly the same. The stations are almost exactly the same. So I think how I pace that race is exactly how I want to pace my next Hyrox race at the end of December. I think from start to finish, my heart rate was controlled, other than the burpees, but I've been training them so much that they actually went fine. They'll never go well, I don't think, and I'll never enjoy them, but they went fine, which is a win. So the first two stations, assault bike and wall balls, that's all about controlling yourself. Assault bike, sticking it first, is that sort of carrot dangling in front of you to want to smash it and want to hit it, because that's the first station. But that's also where you can kill yourself more than anything else, because it's the assault bike. It is so easy to ruin your race on that station more than almost anything else. So there it was on an Echo bike, Rogue Echo bike. So I mean, again, top tier equipment for that station, which is really, really cool. Rogue Echo bike holding an average, I think, 400 watts, which isn't anything crazy in terms of like threshold pacing or anything like that. Kept that conservative, went on the run, then into wall balls. You got wall balls for 100 reps as the second station, which again, teasing you to,
cruel and unusual punishment.
If you're not used to doing 100 reps of a wall ball, then if you try and do that unbroken, maybe you will be able to, but if you haven't then practiced running off of that with how your legs are going to be feeling, that's when it will get you. So I think, again, holding another carrot out in front of you, will you take it? Will you do 100 reps even though your capacity is only 102, and then down the run? So I managed to do them unbroken, but I took my time getting into the station and coming out, so it wasn't too bad. I also love wall balls, and the amount of bodyweight squats, thrusters, and just squats I do in a week is upwards of 500-600. So I knew I had the capacity to do that. So running off that was okay. Third station was the row, 1,000 meters. So distances as well for the ergs and everything are the same as Hyrox, by the way. But yeah, the row is 1,000 meters. Holding similar to what I do in a Hyrox. I think it was holding a 147, so a little bit slower. But again, with 100 reps of wall balls and with burpees next, I wasn't going to be holding the 145, 146 per 500 because it just wasn't worth the sort of extra effort.
Just to hold up there a second. So what you're saying is that so for double the distance, i.e. 1,000 rather than 500, you are holding a 500 meter pace of 1 minute 48, and you're drawing a sharp distinction between holding a 148 pace and a 146 pace, whereas I think to most of us that's within the margin of error. So explain how that's so different.
Yeah, good pickup. I mean, for just like almost anything in life, whether it be athletics, whether it be academics or anything like that, the better you are at something, the harder it is or the more cost it is to get to that little bit better. So for example, if you're in the top 2% in the world at something, to break into that top 1% is so much harder than it is for someone in the top 70% to break in the top 69%, for example. Essentially, the closer you are to your physical, or if you're talking about academics, mental limit, the harder it's going to be to make progress. And so it's just that simple with this as well. With rowing as well, we've spoken about it before. When you're looking at rowing splits or for distance, it's at little reward to go a little bit quicker. So, for example, if you're wondering on the row, for example, should I go 2 seconds per 500 quicker? The better you are, the more of a cost that'll have. The less adapted you are to rowing, the less of a cost that'll have, just because you're not quite at that limit there in terms of what you're able to do.
Basically, law of diminishing returns. You get near to the limit of anything, and to get that little extra bit is massively costly. Therefore, I guess backing up to my question about 148 versus 146, what it took you to progress from 148 to 146 was significant. So in the same sense, backing off from 148 to 146 is noticeable for you in a way that backing off from 212 to 210 would not be so significant, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. Well explained. Yeah. So that's essentially it. And it was also the reasoning behind that was because, as I said, the next station is 80 meters of burpee broad jumps, which for someone who weighs 96, 95 kg is never going to be easy. So I knew I had to have a little bit of reprieve before going into that station so I can hit it, because going from 148 to 146, I believe, would have taken more than 4 seconds out of my burpees. So
right,
those are just the small margins that you play with if you're trying to, tap your absolute potential. The burpees went the best they've ever gone in any race. They were 213 for 80 meters. Now, looking at it, it didn't quite look 80 meters. I'm saying this because I don't think I'm quite at 213 in terms of burpees, because in hybrid games, it's the fourth station. In Hyrox, it's the fourth station. Yes, you've done a bit less running, but the fatigue at that point is quite similar. So I don't think I'm a 213 80-meter burpee broad jumper in the middle of a race. So I'm going to say, for my sort of confidence when I race in Vancouver and don't get 213, as I suspect that it might have been around 70 meters. But either way, the burpees went really well. They were smooth going in. I didn't have my slowest run coming out. So I was really happy with that. So after the burpee broad jumps, you were then going into the snatch. The dumbbell snatch is where you take the dumbbell from on the ground or in contact with the ground position to full elbow extension overhead, and you have to alternate on the way down beneath the shoulder. You can either swap hands when the dumbbell's resting on the ground, which is a little bit slower, or as you bring the dumbbell down, you can swap hands beneath your shoulder, tap, and then as well fully extend with that other hand, bring down below your shoulder.
Does fully extend doesn't mean lock though, does it? Because people didn't look like people locking. But it does mean locking.
Yeah, it does mean locking. If you're holding everyone to a perfect standard, it would be full elbow extension there. You wouldn't be allowed to do that. So it is full elbow extension as per the rules. It's 50 of those. Those as well I did unbroken. I probably do snatches at least once every week. So it's a movement I'm used to. So the 50 weren't too challenging. It was more, if I'm going to make up time on that station, it would more just be my cadence. Like with the wall balls as well, I did the 100 unbroken, but not very quickly, just because I'm trying to find that balance between, I don't really need to rest on either of those stations doing the 100 wall balls or the 50 snatches, but at the expense of that, my cadence is a little bit slower. Overall, I think I made the right decision. I don't think breaking on the snatches was necessary. I didn't need to. I think I could have pushed it a little bit better on those ones, but they went well. They didn't take too much out of me, which was really good. But I knew the next station being sandbag lunges that I needed my legs a lot. So a lot of the snatch technique changed a little bit. I think we'll get into, like we were talking about off air a little bit, getting into each station a little bit more in depth and the tactic for each sport, how you would change it. So essentially with the dumbbell snatches, because I knew I needed my legs, it was a lot more hingy than it was squatty. So a lot of the power came from, in a healthy position, my lower back and my arms instead of my quads and my glutes, which are a little bit stronger. Because use them for the 100-meter lunges coming up. Again, that's at open weight, so it was 20 kg, so the weight wasn't too bad. It's just the fact that it's station number 6, I believe, so it's just a little bit deeper in the race, so it's never going to be easy. For that, I think I got around 3 minutes, so not too quick, but it is where I made a load of time up on on a lot of the guys there. I had someone come up to me, and I'll speak about penalty in a bit. He thought my penalty was because I missed the length of the lunges, because he was like, I was wondering how you caught up to us, this and that. My lunges were just quick. Lunges are good for me. I can step really long and step through. I don't really stutter step with this one. I started to stutter step at the end of the 100 meters, but again, it was pretty much stride. I felt good on them. So there wasn't too much takeaway from that.
That's just funny, though. I think you might have missed out an entire length because you caught up to us. Like, no.
No. But, I mean, credit to him. The dude runs or has run a sub 30 10K. So he he took too much out of me on the runs for me to make up enough on the station. So shout out Luke Greer. He's kind of incredible in that respect. But next station, farmer's carry. Again, I knew I wouldn't need much legs for the farmer's carry. So I did kind of push it on the lunges a little bit. Could I have gone quicker and not stutter stepped at the end? Yes. Farmer's carry, nothing really to note on. It's 200 meters as well. Kettlebells were open weight for men, so 24 kg. I saw a bunch of chalk stains on the kettlebell, so I didn't bother using any. And the material that their kettlebell is made out of isn't the really smooth metal that Hyrox is. It's more of that old rustic, like gym. Like if you were to go to like a gym in like the 1990s and pick up a kettlebell there, that's what I imagine the material was, like an old metal, not rusty or anything like run down.
Back in the 90s, we were using freshly smelted iron straight from the furnace. But
okay,
yeah, that's how
that
it
sounds a little bit older
in
than
those days.
90s, but
yeah.
Okay, well, it was a good material anyway. I didn't use chalk, but it is basically what I'm trying to say.
I
didn't
nowhere
feel
near
like
any gym in the 1990s. I don't know what a gym was in the 1990s.
You're quite fat then, weren't you?
I was fat a lot later than the 1990s.
Oh, fat boy slim, not anymore. Yeah, the farmer's carry went well. The next station number 8, the sled pull, was the most interesting one because of the dimension of the box. So in Hyrox, you've got almost 2 meters. I think it's 1.7, 1.8 meters of length to step back into before you're considered out of bounds. In hybrid games, we had about this much. So if you can't see, I'm talking with about 12 inches. You could take one step back.
Yeah.
And I think it actually was around 12 to 15 inches because I took one step back and then immediately the turf ends. So
wow.
With this one, because it was open weight, what I was able to do was I think the first length was arms only. So I just pulled with my upper body. Obviously, I knew that wasn't sustainable. So the second, third, and fourth would be pull, lean back, and drop. So I wouldn't even step. I'd have my arms reached out with elbows fully extended. I'd lean back, pull with my arms, and drop the rope. So it was sort of finding a technique that worked without being able to step. Which doing it on the fly
at all.
No. There's clips of me doing it that I've posted since where it was literally lean forward, pull, drop, lean forward, pull, drop.
Was everyone else stepping?
We had a few people stepping out. But I didn't want to risk a penalty, so I didn't.
And they're as strict with the step outs as Hyrox are?
For the elite wave, they are. Yeah, right. I'm not sure about the penalties, but I didn't see anyone in my wave doing it, so I'm pretty sure they must have been on it there. But I was also pulling it too far. So the end of each length, there was a spaced line and a solid line. The solid line was where I was standing behind that, where I thought you had to pull the sled to, and so every length I'd pull it an extra meter. And so sometimes that would take, an extra bit to move forward, pull, and anyway, it was just a lot of lost time on a station that I guess I should have studied more in the venue despite walking around for 45 minutes. Just something that I could have paid more attention to, which I thought I knew going into it, but apparently I didn't. I'll fix that on the next time I race. Anyway, ninth station, Skierg. Again, I noticed, I mentioned, earlier about how we're going to go into each station and how to train for it for different sports. With this one, it's the penultimate station. In Hyrox, it's the first. And so the stimulus and the effort and the pacing and the cadence that you do for each one is going to be different. For this one, again, in the Hyrox, I'm between a 145, 146 per 500. But me and Mark Dean, for example, we're both pulling 148s, 149s. So it's with the excess fatigue that you've gathered up for the past 45 minutes in this hybrid games race, whereas in a Hyrox, it's 4 minutes of running, for example. So it's a skiing compromised, which if you train for Hyrox exclusively, you might not have done before. So it was interesting feeling that in Station 9, where, again, like I said, I've never felt how I did then, pulling a pace that in a Hyrox would be a little bit slow, for example. So yeah, it was just being okay and accepting the fact that, yes, this is a couple seconds, so 4 seconds in total slower than it would be, but that's fine. If I try to push it to the pace at which I would do a Hyrox in, that would then cost me again later, which later being Station 10, the sled push, which is interesting. It's 60 meters this time, which I believe is the same as the pull. Both are 60 meters, where in Hyrox it's 50. This, again, open weight. But again, it's just you've been racing for 50 minutes. And in a Hyrox, this is Station 2. Hybrid Games, this is Station 10. So the differentiation in how you feel in both sports is hugely different. Open weight feels like pro weight in this thing. So it wasn't easy. This was where you really have to just remember, all you have to do after this is half a lap of a track and you're done. That is it. You've got a 200-meter sprint after this and you're done. So always think there's room to push yourself more. I think where you fail on this is how a lot of people fail in Hyrox mentally on the wall balls. Realistically, you probably could do another 5.
Don't even start.
I wasn't going there.
Go there.
I wasn't going there. You brought it up this time.
It was 6, not 5. This is where a lot of people fail on the wall balls.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't even.
Someone's salty anyway. Not me.
See that one coming a mile off.
I actually wasn't even thinking about that, by the way. So now you just draw attention to it yourself.
Okay, great.
And whatever the last station is in any event, whether it be the last station and finish or a last station and 200-meter run and then finish, you can push yourself so much more than you think you can. So I think this is where it's more important to have someone on the sidelines more than anything else on that last station, because you don't need to pace it.
Just to say that I only caught a snippet of video of you on the sled push. Now on a Hyrox sled push, you look vaguely bored, which is your preferred facial expression during most stations. Whereas on this one, you looked as if you were about to vomit a spleen.
Well, credit to Ross. He was beside me, making me really pushing me through this one, but it was super painful. A lot more painful than a Hyrox. Again, even though it's 50 kg lighter, just because your point. I mean, I say that just to your point of you need to go to the absolute limit, as distinct from the same station on Hyrox where you need to go way within yourself. Yeah. Annoyingly, with this one, the only thing I would say about the hybrid games layout is with the snatches and with the sled push, from a spectator point of view, you couldn't get close like the other stations. So Anand and Aya, who were with me, couldn't say anything or shout towards me because they were 20-ish meters away, 30-ish meters away, couldn't get to me. And so that station where you need someone, I would, in my opinion, more than anywhere else in the race, you couldn't. You can always get more from other people around you. So, and then it was a 200-meter crawl, sprint, fall, finish, as it was last time.
Finishing with your signature dive and roll, which seems to be the way you finish every race, is you dive across the line and roll and then do a star thing at the end.
I love pushing myself. These races, they get everything out of me. In training, you're not really allowed to go to 100%. Just because it's training and recoverability after pushing yourself for 53 minutes at 100% is not a good idea for repeatability's sake.
I would just like to see you do your signature end of race dive and roll when there are about 20 people in the finish area. And it could be a whole 10-pin bowling situation. You could take out an entire field.
That could be an HR issue.
Yeah.
It was like we went skiing, and long story short, I went off piste. and I'd never skied before. So I was skiing across the side of a mountain with like a 180-foot drop. Yeah,
Right.
with someone who's never skied before, with a part of the mountain that didn't have snow on it. I was skiing on gravel. Anyway, went round there. Then there was a massive, apparently it was a black slope that I just sort of fell down. And at the bottom of the black slope, where the black slope on a flat joins to like an easier one, I don't know the color, there was a group of school kids, and I just went boom and took out like probably 8 of these little kids and just sent them flying, you know. Like, you had kids going over there, over my head. I just absolutely, like, 2-foot Emil Heskey took him out, and that's footage of my life that I wish I could play back, because that was hilarious. No one was hurt, though.
This was a family ski trip nearly 3 years ago. The same trip where Rachel got airlifted on the mountain with a damaged ankle ligament and I broke a rib. That same trip, we were about to start our ski lesson as a family, and Jude went missing for literally 3 hours. And then by the time we found him again, he basically almost died several times and almost killed 8 small girls.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was a resounding success, I think, that trip.
Yeah. Pretty cool. That's the Hybrid Games and our ski trip.
Hybrid Games and family ski trip was that. Okay, brilliant. Any closing notes on the urban race or Hybrid Games?
Just I love racing. I mean, the off season for me it felt like years and years and years. So getting back into racing now, I've got a really full calendar for the next 4 or 5 months, and I'm just so excited for it. Yeah, so I just loved getting into racing again. Well done for both those events, putting on really cool stuff. Loved it.
Cool. Okay. Next up is League of Hybrid Fitness Sports, where we have football in the lead at the moment with 740. We have rugby in second place with 615, and decathlon in third place, just behind rugby, with 598 points. This week, we're looking at UFC. Jude, before we go into the scoring, where do you think UFC is going to come?
I'm going to say if anything's going to take football, it's going to be this one.
So you think it might top 740, might be our new leader? We will find out.
Might be.
In the next 15 seconds to 2 hours, however long it takes us. So let's pull up what that all consists of. League of Hybrid Fitness Sports. Here we go. Here are our 10 categories. So, Jude, for cardiovascular insurance or endurance, where are you putting it?
I'm putting it at 79.
79. For muscular endurance?
95.
For strength?
80.
80. For power?
90.
Oh my days. This is surging. Flexibility?
Ooh.
Loads, presumably.
Yeah, definitely.
Like super bendy.
90.
It's probably the only sport where you actually literally try and snap people. So that probably tests the flexibility quite well.
Yeah.
Quite effectively, if not well. Agility?
89.
Really?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay. 89. Okay. This is going poorly for everyone else. Balance. I think actual hybrid fitness racing is going to struggle with overcoming UFC at this rate.
Yeah.
Balance is what?
80.
Oh my days. Okay. Coordination.
92. Yes. Striking. Precise grappling.
Heads are big. Like aiming at face.
But people also have the best reaction time in the world.
Is that coordination?
Yeah.
Or speed?
I'm willing to put it down a little bit, but that's still coordination. I'm going to say 89 if you don't want to go into the 90s. I
really don't. I definitely don't want to go into the 90s.
I'm not willing to go much lower than 80, but if you want to go low 80s, I'm fine with that.
Let's go 84.
Okay.
This is accuracy.
80.
Speed.
85. 80. No, because yes, you need.
You don't need speed.
Yeah, you don't
need
sports. As much speed. No, it's different to other sports.
It's speed over
such
like
a
close
yard area. Yeah, it's like terminal velocity is a part of speed. So I mean, if anything is going to be ranked low, I'm going to say 60.
Okay. Well,
Just before we even theorize doing this, UFC was one of the first names I brought to the board, and I said for me, even when I put this on my Instagram, which is what gave us the idea, I said UFC for me might be number one for hybrid sports. So I know it probably is that way,
Above hybrid,
but this is what I've said.
But you think this is going to beat Hyrox, do you?
I don't know about that. This was when I was considering not putting Hyrox in this division because it is called hybrid. It's a But in terms of what wasn't labeled hybrid sports, UFC for me from the start was what I thought would win this. So
okay, so it's safe to say that it beat decathlon. So decathlon has 598. It beat that. It beat rugby in 615. Football's the current leader with 740. How do you think it compares to football?
It must have got mid 800s.
It did. It's by far and away our new leader at 837 points out of 1,000. So UFC to hybrid fitness perfection is even higher than you compared to the hybrid app perfection. You're kind of like the football score, aren't you? You're like 700s mid at hybrid app fitness status.
Shout out hybrid app. 762.
762.
So it beats me.
You were in first place, ahead of football.
I was,
and you've now been completely overtaken by UFC at 837.
because my bench press sucks. Basically, I'm not that good.
Okay, because Jude's bench press sucks, he's now been beaten by UFC into second place. Okay, brilliant. So we now have a new leader in the League of Hybrid Fitness Sports, which just leaves us with quote of the week. Coming from our interview with Yancey Culp last week, it came up then. I want to give a big shout out to legendary hybrid fitness athlete Mike Tyson for his fantastic quote, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." How helpful do you think that is, Jude?
Well, I think you can symbolize getting punched in the mouth with zone 5 heart rate if we're trying to take this into racing. I think you've all got a plan until you're an hour deep into being 180 beats per minute, and then you don't know which in or out is where or what station's where. And
funny you should mention that. Yeah, you can't read massive signs anymore, huh?
Yeah. So I got a 2-minute penalty.
Was that station 5 for you yesterday? Was that what that was?
No, it was station 2.
Station 2?
Yeah.
And you were basically still relaxing.
Yeah, I got a penalty in my race on the weekend for going out the in arch after wall balls, and even though I covered the same distance as everyone else and didn't miss anything, I still got a 2-minute penalty. But not salty at all. I don't care.
No. So everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth is more of a be realistic. So make your plan. So what we were talking about with Yancey was, especially with doubles, you kind of want to make a precise plan, say this is exactly what we're going to do every station. And you also need to understand that when it comes to it, that's probably going to change on the fly, and you need to be able to do that too. So it's Mike Tysoning a Deca strategy quote.
He had that in his mind when he was saying that, for sure.
Who, Tyson? Probably. Next week, we will be looking at a preview of the Deca World Championships, which are in Fort Lauderdale, end of the first week of December. We probably will do a less extensive preview of the Cayman Islands half marathon, where I'm making my racing debut of the season, if I don't fall apart before then. And then we are going to have the first in our series that Jude referred to earlier, the Hybrid Racing Stations #1, where we're going to look at the physiology of how to train for and how it applies in different race settings of the various different hybrid racing stations. And we're going to look at ski erg next week. So in the meantime, I've been Paul Reynolds.
I've been Jude Reynolds.
Thank you so much for listening.